So, Isha Upanishad is actually one of the oldest. It belongs to Vajrayana Samhita, to the Shukla Yajurveda. If Taittiriya belongs to the Krishna Yajurveda, then Isha belongs to the Shukla Yajurveda. Yeah, Shukla means white Yajurveda. And Taittiriya belongs to the black Yajurveda. And there is a reason for this, that this Yajurveda split into white, black and white. Black Yajurveda was the text which was mixing the commentaries together with the mantras or with Shruti, with Samhita texts, with hymns. So once this mixture took place, through Taittiriya Brahmana was introduced into the Taittiriya Samhita. So Taittiriya Samhita is the text which is mixing Brahmana, Aranyaka and Upanishad into the Samhita text. And because of this mixture, it got the name of Krishna Yajurveda, so to say. Whereas Vajrayana Samhita or Yajnavalkya Samhita belongs to Shukla Yajurveda, where the Samhita text is not mixed with Brahmanas and Aranyakas. So for Vajrayana Samhita, we have Shatapatha Brahmana, which is separate from the Samhita text. So why I'm saying all this, because Isha Upanishad belongs to the 40th chapter of this Vajrayana Samhita. It's not Isha Upanishad. It should be just Samhita text. But it is a conclusive chapter of the Samhita, and it is known in the tradition as Isha Upanishad. Isha. Isha means by the Lord. Upanishad, by the Lord, because the first word is Isha, as you see here. So by the kind of name is made by the first word of the text. The same happened to Kena Upanishad. Kena means by who. It is the first word in the text. It's like Keneshitam patati preshitam manah. So first word is Kena. And by that word, the whole Upanishad is named Kena Upanishad. By whom? Upanishad is called by whom. Here by the Lord, Upanishad, as it were.
So this is the final chapter of a longer...
Yes, of a big text, which is Samhita, Shukla Yajurveda. Yes. It's a part of Samhita. And in that sense, it is considered to be the oldest among Upanishads, because this text belongs properly to the Samhita body. Kena Upanishad belongs to Jaiminiya Upanishad Brahmana. It's a part of Brahmana, also very ancient. Taittiriya Upanishad is a part of Taittiriya Aranyaka, which is the part of Taittiriya Brahmana, which is the part of Taittiriya Samhita. And other Upanishads, they are more independent, as it were. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is a part of Shatapatha Brahmana. So to say, there are many texts which are identical with Shatapatha Brahmana in Brihadaranyaka. Chandogya Upanishad is a part of Chandogya Aranyaka of the Samaveda. But they are already separated from the Samhita. The only text which is part of the Samhita in all Upanishads, properly, so to say, is Isha Upanishad.
And that's this one?
Yes, and this is this one. And Isha Upanishad is very brief. It has only 18 verses, very brief. One of the shortest after Mandukya. Mandukya has 12 verses, and this one 18. Only 2 pages. But it is very profound. And we will come to it. So this is Shantipatha of Shukla Yajurveda. Yeah, the whole split of Yajurveda into Shukla and um, Krishna tradition happened because of objections of Yajnavalkya, who is the author of the Samhita, author of Isha Upanishad, who objected to Vaishampayana Rishi, mm, and didn't want to introduce Brahmanic texts, the commentaries, into Samhita. That started to happen, to take place in that time. So Taittiriya Samhita was taking more and more Brahmanic texts, explanations into its body. So he objected to it, and that dispute ended up with him being sent back, being sent away from ashram, and he had to leave all his knowledge. Vaishampayana was furious and didn't want him to take the knowledge he received from him, so he gave him back that knowledge. In terms of, he opened his mouth and small bird Titiri, I already spoke.
Yeah.
So that's why it is Taittiriya Samhita. That is original Yajurveda. And Yajnavalkya himself went into Himalayas, and after long tapasya, got a new revelation from the sun directly, and it became Vajasane Samhita, of which Isha Upanishad is a part. All right. So the Shantipatha of this Shukla Yajurveda, not Krishna. Krishna Yajurveda would not have this. Shantipatha, only Shukla Yajurveda is this. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, as you know,
When you were reading the Taittiriya, there were places where there were mantras that I learned that were in the Taittiriya, but you said that that's not the Shanti part, so I don't understand between the two.
no, this Shantipatha is used only for Shukla Yajurveda, for the white Yajurveda, yes?
Oh, so they all do it. It's just a different one for each one.
Right. It's like a signature.
Okay.
Taittiriya would have Shamna Mitra and
Right.
Sahana Bhavatu, these two.
Mhm.
Shukla Yajurveda will have Purnamadav always.
Okay.
The Rig Veda will have Vangme, Manasi,
Okay.
Pratishtita. And Samaveda would have Apyayanto Mamangani, which we didn't learn, but we will learn it
Okay. Okay.
later. Mhm. So, yeah, we know the meaning of this text. That is full or complete. This is complete. From complete, complete arises. uh, Having taken complete from complete, complete indeed remains. Yeah. So this is a vision of the fullness of manifestation, um, which depends on the spiritual transcendental fullness, from which any fullness can be derived. It will still be complete and full. It cannot be exhausted by any exhaustion. Um, it's constantly complete and can create infinities of different universes, infinite universes from its infinity, and it will never be exhausted. So the first verse of Isha Upanishad is Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjithah Magradhah Kasyas Vidhanam. Literal translation: Isha, by the Lord. It's from root Ish. And so like Maruta, Maruta, Ish, Isha, by the Lord. Vasyam, idam sarvam. Idam this, sarvam all this vasyam should be inhabited. Vasyam is a participle futurum passive voice, or necessitatis passive voice. Should be lived, should be inhabited, from root vas. Root vas has several meanings. First meaning is to dwell, to live, vasati. And there is another root in the second class, which means to wear, to put as a garment on yourself, as cloth, to wear. And the third meaning of vas is to shine. So this vasyam can be translated in three different ways. All this is to be worn as the garment by the Lord, or it can be translated, all this is to shine by the Lord, so from within, as it were, and all this is to be inhabited by the Lord. So all three are totally valid. So you can choose what you like. And usually we translate all this is to be inhabited by the Lord. Yat kimcha, whatever. It's a phrase. Yat kimcha means whatever. Jagatyam, in the moving universe. Jagat, moving. Whatever moves in the moving universe should be inhabited by the Lord. All, as Shubhendra would translate, all this is for habitation by the Lord, whatever moves in this universal motion. Enat yaktena, by that renounced, bhunjitha, you should enjoy. Bhunjitha is the optative second person, that potential is second person. One should enjoy, or you should enjoy, with all that renounced. Magredach, don't grab, don't grasp anything. Kasyas vidhanam, whose indeed this wealth is. So whose is this wealth indeed? So these are phrases one by one. One should enjoy with all that renounced. Do not, you should enjoy with all that renounced. Don't grab. Whose wealth is it? Yeah? So you have these three statements in one line.
What does it mean? Like the first one, it's talking about what you've it doesn't make sense to me. It's talking about what you've renounced.
Right. You enjoy, yeah, with that renounced. What is renounced? What should be renounced? As it is said, all this is for habitation, is to be inhabited by the Lord, and whatever moves in this universal motion, whatever, by that renounced, you enjoy yourself. What does it mean? So it means that all the objects of enjoyment in the world, whatever the world is, whatever is there, which is to be inhabited by the Lord, it means that with all that, but renounced, you should enjoy. It means you have to be free from the object of enjoyment and enjoy the world. Because the Lord, Ish, is the one, or Ishvara, who is free from the objects of enjoyment. He is the Lord. You're free from, he is free from any object of enjoyment. When we are not free, we become Anisha, not Lord. We depend on this enjoyment. We want it. We want to get it. Without it, we cannot live. We are looking for it. We are aspiring to get it. We are coveting. We are fighting for it, and so on and so forth. This dependence on the object of enjoyment qualifies us as Anisha, as not Lord, because the Lord is free. the master of he is free from the objects of enjoyment.
So they're saying to enjoy without attachment.
Absolutely. They say enjoy this world as the Lord it does, being free from the attachment, being free from dependence on the object of enjoyment.
Okay.
So enjoy all this world being free, magridach, don't grab. And sometimes this last phrase, kasyas vidhanam, do not last, so to say, because of anybody's wealth. Don't grab anybody's wealth. Don't grab human wealth or man's wealth. So, yeah. So, but there are two translations, or kasyas vidhanam can be translated as whose wealth is it? As a question. So don't grab, don't pull, don't put it into your pocket. Don't try to have this world.
Mm.
Because why? Kasyas vidhanam. Whose wealth is it? The question is. And here there was a my long-term discovery. It took me 2 decades actually to understand this phrase. Because this was the Isha Upanishad, which I was always reciting every day for many years. And I never could totally understand this ending, don't grab, because whose wealth is it? So enjoy yourself with all this world being free. Don't grab, whose wealth is it? And one day I got it. In the night when I was sleeping, half sleeping, I got it that it was your wealth. Why do you have to grab it? You are the Lord. You are the Lord. That's why enjoy with all this, being free from it as the Lord is. Don't grab anything. Don't put into the pockets, because whose wealth is it? Why do you have to grab something which is yours already? There is no need to do it. You don't come to your home and start grabbing this cup
Right.
because it is yours. I will have it. It's already yours. You don't need to do it.
Okay.
The whole universe is yours. The stars and the sun, the wind, the light, everything is already given by default. And we behave as if it is not ours. We try to put it into our pockets, to put copyright on everything, on every thought, on every discovery, and then sell it, and put it again into our pockets. We behave like idiots, Yeah, we are totally unaware that everything is already granted, but not to Anisha, not to the one who is attached, who is dependent on the object of enjoyment, but as to the Lord, free from the objects of enjoyment, unattached. This phrase, actually, this first line, is a fundamental of all Vedic vision. And even Gandhiji, in his preface to, he said that very kind of dramatic phrase, if all of a sudden all the scriptures were burnt and turned to ashes, and only one phrase, one line of Isha Upanishad, the first verse, would remain in the memory of Hindus, Hinduism would live forever. So everything could be reduced to ashes, but this one line, this one verse, has to be taken kind of deeply into the heart. All this is for habitation by the Lord. Here it's more. In this phrase, there is more to discover. All this is to be inhabited by the Lord. It is not yet totally inhabited by Him. It is to be inhabited. There is a progression, there is an evolution which is taking place. The Lord is gradually in possessing, trying to possess or taking possession over his nature. He takes his nature into his hands slowly. And this progression is evolution. So, but it must be inhabited by him. It will be inhabited by him. So it may take long time till the final possession. Maybe it will never be fully realized. Maybe this progressive possession will continue forever because he is infinite and the world is also infinite. And but there is a way for us to enjoy this world being free from it. The enjoyment immediately comes when we are free from the objects of enjoyment. And the moment we depend on the object of enjoyment, we start suffering.
Wow. So how, if you start depending on the object of enjoyment and you're suffering, how do you gain release again from that and be in the flow of enjoying without attachment?
Well, that's the process of yoga, basically, how to find in yourself the Lord who is not dependent on the object of enjoyment, whatever it may be. The whole world it's like, you are like a master. You can, and the object of enjoyment is the instrumentation, so to say. You as a master, you can throw the instrument. Yeah, you can break it, you can rebuild it, you can change it, you can do anything with it, but you do not depend on it. Your enjoyment does not depend on it. You are free. Once you are free from your instrumentation, you become the master. It's only in that moment you become the master. And then you can enjoy everything what comes with it. But your enjoyment would not depend on the instrumentation. It will depend on your inner being, on what you truly are. It will not be derived from usage of instruments. It would be filling the usage of instruments with your own emanation of what you are. There will be a different process. No, you will be not deriving from the usage of instrumentation the delight. You will be fulfilling yourself through usage of this instrumentation. Your delight is coming from the depth of your being and fills everything you do. And from that, doing and filling everything you do, a new delight will arrive or arise, which you may be, getting. That's why enjoy with all this renounced.
It's like reading 2 pages from 2 different books, and they're 2 different stories. And the storyteller is relating them to each other and is saying, this book and this book are similar, but this is a story in this book, and here's a story in that book. And my question is, how the heck do you get from this book to that book? Because they look like 2 separate books, 2 separate stories, and they're on completely different pages. This has been my question through my whole life. It's like, okay, here's these wonderful stories, here's these human potentials, here's all this stuff that we can do and what we can be, but how do we do it? I mean, and you just said yoga, and that's a how. So
Yeah.
maybe that's the answer for this.
Yes, of course, there is the whole process, how to become less attached and how to go into meditation and observe your thoughts and feelings, and disengage yourself from your thoughts and feelings and emotions and sensations and from your body, and to see that all these mental, vital, and physical being are nothing but instruments, and you are the Lord. You have to be free, free from the instruments, from the objects of enjoyment. Once you're free, then
Oh,
then you enjoy all this world, being free from it, and don't grab anything from it into your pocket. This world is not havable. You can't have it for one simple reason, because it is already yours. So this is the story of our life. We want to have it as if we don't have it. And it is ours already, given to us, because inwardly we are that Lord. We
well,
are
it's
Him.
like it's stepping out of every way I look at something to look at it in a completely different way and see the exact same thing,
Right, absolutely. It's
but see it differently. So it's not like there's something new. It's not like there's a different place. It's not like there's another
right,
thing. It's just a different perceptive view on what's already here, what I'm already looking at.
right, absolutely. It's a shift in consciousness. Yeah. You're not going elsewhere. You're staying here. We are all staying here. Only we see it differently now. We understand that the value, the wealth of this world. If you look into the sky and see the stars, this is the great value. Or you're looking at the rising sun, or ocean, or the wind, or rain. Everything is given. All these, the greenery growing, the orchards and the vegetables and fruits, everything is feeding us, giving us enjoyment everywhere, from every side. It's given. But human mind, of course, wants to grasp, to grab, grid, yeah. From here, it's magredag, don't grab. And I will take it for myself. I will not let you enjoying this world. No, I will enjoy, and you will work for me, and
Mm.
then I will give you a little of it back to you, if you will be good. So all this, what we created with this world, um, is this fear, this Anisha, who is not Lord, who is afraid, who wants to possess in an egoistic way something which is already given.
Hmm.
You can enjoy everything. For example, I live in a very, very rich, big house. I never seen such big houses in my life. Um, and alone totally, and nobody bothers me, and it is not mine. It's somebody
Mm.
else's possession. But I live here.
Yeah.
And I'm walking on the street and I see this beautiful garden. Somebody's, making these roses and flowers. He thinks it is his garden, but I see those roses and I have the odor of this perfume of these roses. And this is mine already. It's all mine everywhere. Only I don't need to grab it. I don't need to have it. I don't need to register it as myself, as my own. It's already mine.
That almost makes it sound like the idea that we have of owning things puts us in the place where we're grabbing, and there's resistance in ownership. So the Native Americans in this country, had it right. They
Mm-hmm.
they had, well, I mean, to a point, I guess they had the entire country. And when the Europeans came and talked about owning things and whose land is this, and they didn't know what they were talking about because they didn't have that same ideology. And it looks like then the way the Native Americans thought about the land in that different way then was more like what this is talking about. You just enjoy it. It's there for your use. It's there for what you need, and everyone uses it.
Absolutely.
Not a big deal about who owns it, put a fence around it, and pay admission to come in.
Right. And it's ridiculous. How can you really own the land? How can you be owner of the land? Just look at this land. We have 300 acres. How can you own it? The person, small person comes here, the owner. How can he own this land? He can't even walk through it. It's too big. How can he own it? It's absolute illusion. And there is no way that you can own anything. How can I own this cup? I can't. But I can, it's given to me. Everything is already mine. But I cannot own it. I cannot really make it myself. Yeah.
Okay.
It will still be the cup, and it can be still used by somebody else when I'm not using it. And can I own everything I wear or I eat? Even eating, even food, even my body is very questionable. Is it really mine totally? It is made from these elements from outside, from the nature. That means what? It means all the nature is mine already. But I don't need to own it. Because ownership creates the desire which is actually separating us from our true nature. We lose our peace, our happiness, our sleep. We start worrying. We think where and how to invest something we have to something which would give us profit or would be more sustainable or whatever. We are fighting with the markets, with people, and so on and so forth. And it is all absolutely unnecessary. But it is about psychology. It's a profound psychology, a vision of this world and ourselves as the Lord in it. And the second phrase is also very important. Kurvan neveha karmani jijivishet shatam samaha evam tvai nanyat hetosti na karma lipyate nare. But doing here verily works, kurvan eva iha, and doing here works, karmani, jijivishet, one should wish to live shatam samaha, 100 years. Evam tvai, thus in you, nanyat hetosti, and not otherwise, na karma lipyate nare, karma does not stick to man. Doing here verily works. One should wish to complete the full cycle of life. Thus and not otherwise, karma does not stick to man. What is interesting, why suddenly they speak about one should wish to fulfill the full cycle of life and live 100 years? It is in the light of the first shloka. Once you are the Lord, you are free from the objects of enjoyment. You are really free, suppose. Why should you want to stay here in this world? Many people who became muktas, who received moksha, liberation, they were ready to leave this world because they discovered their unborn eternal self, which does not depend on the world. So once they discovered that consciousness in themselves, they can stay with it forever. They don't need to participate in this world, do anything here. This world becomes obsolete, unnecessary, a burden of some kind. They can stay away in their own freedom and enjoyment forever. So once you discovered in the first shloka all this for habitation by the Lord, enjoy yourself, don't grab, because whose wealth it is yours, you are the Lord. You discovered that you are the Lord. But now second shloka says, but doing here verily works. One should wish to stay full lifetime, and thus and not otherwise. Not otherwise. Karma does not stick to man. Karma does not have consequences.
So wait a minute. Is it saying that you come to moksha, you find the key to get out of here, but you should stay here so karma doesn't?
Absolutely.
Because if you leave, you're leaving with karma?
No, you are leaving, you are fine, but karma does not stick to man, to other human beings. If you want to really liberate this world and make it for habitation by the Lord, if you are here to do His work, His bidding, then you must stay here and do works, being free as the Lord is free from the object of enjoyment.
What does it mean, though, when it says karma does not stick to man?
The karma, the action, does not have consequences. Usually karma, as a action, karma means action,
Right.
has consequences. So to say, you did this, then consequences are following. Yeah, it's like like cause and effect. Yes,
Right.
You did this, now that you have consequences. You have to do next to cover that and to cover that and to cover that. And we are always covering something. All our life we are running and covering what we did. That's what we are busy with. But if you are free from the objects of enjoyment, if you are the Lord and you do the activities, then it creates a totally new way of doing things. It brings consciousness directly into the action, and it is not calling as a consequence for another action.
So they're saying that actions taken when you're not dependent on. Wait a minute.
Yeah, there is some deep thought here.
When your actions taken when you're not dependent on
The objects of enjoyment.
Yeah.
If action is taken without dependence, as the Lord would do, you would be free. And you would free the world. You would bring consciousness of freedom into activities, and everything around you and within you, and will become marvelous. Creation of the Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam. All this is to be inhabited by the Lord. It is the way how He is becoming inhabiting, how He's getting in, how He's illumining the world. It is through this action.
Okay, I gotta say this just because I gotta say it to put it in my head. If I'm not connected to, I can't get this thought out of my head.
Okay.
If I'm not connected to the objects of
enjoyment
desire or the object of,
you do not depend on the objects of enjoyment.
Yeah.
Yes.
If there's no dependence, if I'm not counting on something to be something for me, to do something for me, if I just flow with that, then that action alone disconnects from karma, and so there's no consequences or reactions for those actions, which is completely different to every other action, because like you said, because every other action always has a consequence, but this one wouldn't. Yes. Because of how it's disconnected.
Yes, because it is not connected to the to this kind of to your egoistic perception, which is calling for reaction. So you do not have reaction from it. You're just fulfilling the action, and the action is fulfilled and it's finished.
So the only reason that there's any karma then, or any actions or any consequence, is because the ego is calling for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But why? Why does the ego call for this?
Well, ego is this anisha, the one who depends on the object of enjoyment. And because of that, once you created one thing, you want out of it the other thing which will give you
Oh,
the enjoyment. But can you imagine you are independent in that sense? You don't want from action anything but action itself. Nothing you want for yourself, which you depend on. As Sri Krishna would say in the Gita, I don't need anything from this world, and still I'm working constantly. I'm doing karma, because if I would stop, the whole world would stop. So it is the work of manifestation, the work to manifest the spirit in matter, in nature. So if you do it with this mind, to manifest the presence of your being, of your inner self into the activity, then the karma does not have consequences for you or for anybody else who is involved in this karma.
well, this whole idea of karma and manifestation and something coming out of an action to like procreate, it's like procreating the action, which we think makes matter and makes the world go round per se. That whole idea is an invention because we started this whole discourse talking about how everything is here for us, and we don't have to grab, and we don't have to seek, and we don't have to own, because it's already there. So it's almost like we came into, this is the whole Genesis story. I'm realizing the whole Adam and Eve, we came into this beautiful garden where everything was there, and then we decided that, I don't know how we decided, but there was this idea, maybe, I don't even know, of this is mine, or this is something, or let me do this differently. And paradise is still here. The only difference is we don't see it because we have this idea of how the world works, which is this karmic wheel, this circle of action and consequence.
Mm-hmm. But can you imagine a person with that consciousness of paradise, of Adam and Eve, original consciousness, where there is no grabbing, there is no grasping, there is a constant, every way looking at the world as a manifestation of the divine, as everything is to be inhabited by the Lord. It is His world, and we are Him in action. And we come with this consciousness and start being active in the world, what it could be, what kind of world we could build. It would be a marvelous creation. And so Isha reconciles between this, why they say one should stay for a full cycle of life, because what happens to those who got mukti or moksha, they see that they don't want to be here. It's a kind of suffering to do something, to work, so they leave. They want to leave this nature, to get out of it, to disappear in Brahman, and to become one with the spirit and delight, forever delight. Yeah, can you imagine? You don't need to suffer anymore anything. And that's why Isha says, but doing here verily works, one should wish to stay a full cycle of life, to finish your life here with this consciousness, doing here works, and thus, and not otherwise, karma does not stick to man, does not create consequences. If you are kind of got into mukti, and then you feel like you are drawn to that spirit, you want to disappear in the spirit, you want to close your eyes, go into samadhi and never come back. It's so good there. Why should you come back to this pain, bodies, old age, disease, all this stuff, working every day, waking up, doing something? But can you imagine we do it with this consciousness which is present in us, of this freedom, every day, every activity, everything we are doing thoroughly with this consciousness? What are we doing then? We are helping, as Sri Aurobindo would say, the divine to manifest in the world.
Mm.
All this is for his habitation. This is the first key. Yeah, we are helping him to manifest in every moving object, Jagatyam, in this universal motion. We are helping everything to be charged with his presence. This is what we are doing. This is the second shloka. So it's not for us anymore. It is for him in the world, the second shloka. It's not for myself. For myself, I am already free in the first one. But in the second, I will have to bring it down into manifestation. Ramakrishna spoke about two types of souls, of Jivan Koti and Ishvara Koti. Jivan Koti souls are looking for liberation. They want to get out from this manifestation, disappear in the spirit, and never come back. But Ishvara Koti, they are looking for realization of the divine in order to bring that spirit into manifestation and to make part, so to say, to impart it into everything they do and into their life and the life around them. And in that sense, Ishvara Koti is much more advanced because they are the souls which are seeking the divine realization not in himself, not outside the manifestation. They want it to be part of this manifestation. And they come back after mukti, after realization of their unborn self, they bring that spirit into activities, into everyday life. And this is the second shloka. And thus, and not otherwise, karma has no consequences. Not otherwise. There would be no other way to get out of this vicious circle. And there is a third shloka, which is also important. These three go together. Now, the first option, to get free, to find your unborn self. Second option, to get free and to involve with the world. Stay here till the end. Do everything what is needed with the spirit of the Lord. And the third, asurya nama te loka andhena tamasavritaha tan stepretya bhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha. Into the worlds of blind darkness, or covered with the darkness, blind darkness, enter those tan stepretya bhigachanti, enter those who have killed themselves, who destroyed their self, unborn self, atmahano janaha, the people who do not believe or do not have any perception of their inner self, of the Lord within them. These are the killers of themselves. They are the, so to say, suiciders. People who do not believe that they are more than just a product of nature, as a chemical table. They believe that their brains, that their chemistry within their stomachs, they believe everything is mechanical. And these are enter into the worlds of covered with blind darkness. Asuryanamate loka, those are worlds without the sun. Andhena tamasavritaha, covered with the blind darkness. Tan ste pretya bhigachanti, into those enter they, yeke chatmahano janaha, those who destroyed their inner being. Now, three options. Either you find your unborn true self, the Lord, or you identify yourself, the third shloka, with the nature and don't see any Lord in you or anything in you more than just chemistry. You're just chemical reaction, nothing else. Or there is one more option. You find your Lordship and you work in the world, the second. So, Lordship working in the world, or nature, pure materialism. You're just matter, which falls apart at the end of your life. nothing is left of you. You enter into the worlds of blind darkness.
But the first one and the third one go together to make the second one.
Right, absolutely. They are built in such a nice way. 1, 2, 3. They give us all three options. And notice, we do not have more options than these three. Only these three. Either you are matter, then okay, you're just dying and going into blind darkness. You were only these chemical reactions. Or you find in yourself the spirit, the one who is to embody everything in the world, become free from this, from your instrumentation, from the objects of enjoyment. And then there is one more middle option. You engage into it.
But this is why Thomas is important, because you can't do two without three, but you need one.
Absolutely. Thomas is very important.
I
Everything.
remember asking Dr. Lott a question. I didn't know anything about this. I was brand new into Ayurveda. And he was talking about Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And he did the pulse reading for everybody. And, I think we all were thinking that you didn't want to have a lot of Tamas. You wanted mostly Sattva and some Rajas, and you didn't want any Tamas. So I was asking him about this because I had no idea what he was talking about. And he said that you need all in equal measure. I mean, he didn't say it that way necessarily, but my understanding is that you need all in equal measure, because without Tamas, there's no rest. And without Tamas, there's no grounding. And without Tamas, there's no nature, there's no earth, there's no matter. And you have to have that along with the other things. And
Absolutely.
that was just, it was the first time I had heard anything of value, I guess, about the material world, because what I had learned in all of my religious education was so centered on spirit and so centered on moving away from that which looked like it was looked at as demeaning. But Thomas is not demeaning, or we all would be like totally crazy because we'd never be able to go to sleep.
Right. Well, in this particular evolutionary stage, Thomas especially has and will always have its value. Thomas is not only darkness or inertia; it is also stability. It is something which embodies the solid being. Yeah. And so the solidity of the being, something which is concrete and embodied and manifested, and giving it a very strong support. It does not disappear into some energy. It holds energy around it, within it.
Okay.
But if we identify ourselves as this, only this, something which is only solidity, which gives support, then we lose the consciousness of the dweller within, the one who is to embody all this, or to for whom this world was created, for his habitation, to inhabit it, to shine through it. So we will lose that consciousness, and we become identified with nature as if we are nature. And these are three legitimate grounds for our consciousness. And all of them have to be there, definitely.
Well, question then, because I keep looking outside to my tree, because this tree that's outside, I could say that it's tamasic, especially now in the winter, because it's just standing there. It doesn't move. There's not a lot of anything going on with it. And the mountain that I can see past that sometimes. I mean, it doesn't. There's no rajas. It's not moving. I don't know if there's sattva in that, but there has to be. So in every single thing I see, there has to be some portion of all three of those gunas showing up in it. There has to be, right?
Yeah, they're all there hidden in the tamas, but again, kind of not visible yet. But when the spring will come, they will come up.
Yeah. So as humans, then we can use these gunas as tools in a way maybe that other nature can't use them, because we can move through the gunas as well as having the gunas moving through us.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
This is cool.
Yeah, I know. This is really cool. And this, especially this Upanishad, it's profound. It's just few verses and so much of to think of. And it will continue. We will continue next time from number 4. It will shift from he to it. We will speak about Brahman now, few shlokas. It will be interesting to see why the spirit becomes important, not the Lord who will inhabit all this, but the spirit which permits this habitation. All right, great.
Okay.
Let's close with mantra. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Thanks, Vladimir. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.